I think the big moment for us is we got an early access to GPT-4. And the
Hmm.
story behind that is we were actually pretty close with the kind of researchers at OpenAI. Um, it's funny because we had this hunch around the application of this technology. We're really excited about it, right? And we were kind of doing everything we could in that area. And my guys would give pretty substantial presentations at the major conferences, and we were I think we were not like a super known quantity as a startup because we were still pretty
Hmm.
small, even almost a decade in. But we were still, yeah, I think respected to some degree because like we were the guys and gals applying law or this kind of technology to law. So we were like
Right.
that was like our niche.
Got it. So for the folks
And
who are in the research community, they're
right,
looking around thinking about, all right, who's applying this to medicine? Who's applying this to
exactly.
learning? Who's applying this to law? And you guys were kind of
Yeah.
visible there as
And,
the, yeah.
And we also made this kind of luck too. Like a former VP of engineering, who's the part of the company and a number of jobs, just joined OpenAI also right around where they were like working on GPT-4. So we were like already working on with OpenAI for at least a year or two, probably 2 years, 3 years at the time, because yeah, 3 years at the time, because we were in these kind of early research programs with them for GPT-3, and we tried to partner with them around that. And like, we were there was this like, relationship that we had with them for well over a year, where they would bring to us certain models, and my team would just be like, "These are totally worthless for law. Like, this is terrible." And honestly, I think we gained some credibility with their researchers just being super real about it. We were not like hype guys, kind of the opposite. Okay. So all these things are kind of coming together, so that sometime like mid 2022, they said, "Hey, we just finished training this model. You said everything else you've done is bad, but we think you'll like this one." And they made it seem like it's another version of GPT-3. We
Mm,
started using it, and it was immediately obviously it wasn't. It was like, this is something very, very different. And first of all, to try to get yourself in this mindset, we were using this thing, playing with this thing. I remember the original demo, like seeing it interact and work, um, before ChatGPT had come out.
right.
So we were interacting with GPT-4 before ChatGPT. And for a lot of people, if you remember your ChatGPT moment of like, holy F, a computer can do this, like, this is actually really smart. This is going to change everything. So we're seeing this under this like insane NDA. There's like
Hmm.
only me and my co-founder can even talk about it. Right. Nobody in my company can know about it for like a period of time. And we're using this like insane technology. And they originally made it available to us not via API, but just like a Slack bot that I can like chat with. And it's actually even
Interesting.
crazier as a Slack bot in a shared channel with their researchers. So they saw everything you're trying.
Right.
And
Yep.
the way it worked is you like be like at OpenAI and then like talk to it and then it would respond and then whatever, right? Um, and so we started using this thing and we were just completely blown away. And there are a lot of these like tests that we developed over the years of like, we'll know if it's real AI or not if X, Y, or Z. And it nailed every single one of them you know I mean, that's the funny thing about this moment, even like a couple of years out, is like we had to reinvent our evaluations because we were apparently setting the bar too low. This may sound like so silly, but it's like our kind of almost our Turing test. There's this one, now since passed Supreme Court Justice Scalia. He's kind of conservative, very conservative, but also very like funny writer. He uses a lot of sarcasm, and we're like, we'll know if we're seeing AI if we can tell when Justice Scalia is being sarcastic. And we had
Mm.
all these like examples, like maybe a dozen examples, and we ran them through, and it nailed every single one of them. And the explanations were also like on the again, this is kind of old news for anybody who's used ChatGPT at this point. But we're seeing this model be, having never seen an AI do anything other than like sentiment analysis or like, make search better or whatever. All of a sudden, it's like, well, I don't think Justice Scalia really thinks that golf is the most pressing issue facing America today. And so, I therefore think he's being sarcastic when he says that, about the Supreme Court case that he's evaluating. Um, like really just absolutely, absolutely blown away. And so that began, we saw use cases for it kind of overnight. And really, honestly, the unlock for us, and I think for many other companies, was that it got answers right about the same rate as humans do. You
Got it.
know, uh, and that's obviously like mind blowing, right? Like all of a sudden you have this technology that get answers right
Uh,
about the same rate that the humans do.
and interesting timing wise is you were seeing GPT-4 before the rest of the world was seeing GPT-3, which is also kind of mind blowing. So having seen that, it caused you to make some pretty big changes in the product like right away. right? So what was that like?
Within 2 weeks of seeing the product, we were announcing to the whole company that everybody's going to stop work on what they're doing right now, and they're going to be working on a new product based around this technology. And so we had maybe 100 people at the time. And I mean, obviously, sales and marketing had to continue to sell and market the product we had at the time. But everybody else, we were asking to switch over to work on the new product. So first, just my co-founder and I had access. And then maybe like 5 days after we had access, we were going to have an executive offsite. And I begged the OpenAI guys, like, please extend the NDA to include the exec team so we can at least
Exec
talk about
team.
it at that level. And
Yep.
they finally did, like, exactly like the minutes before the exec team offsite started. So I remember getting up in front of them and be like, I know we have an agenda. I know we're supposed to talk about hitting these sales targets and these, like, we're just going to put that all away. And I want to show you guys something that's going to blow your minds.
Wow.
And so that exec team offsite ended up being just about getting almost alignment at the executive level, you know, about kind of going in this direction. And then and we were able to do that. There were definitely some skeptics, but I think more folks than not, I think could feel the seriousness of the moment, how ridiculous this technology was, and the kind of, what we were able to do, I think, between the moment we got access via Slack to the exec offsite is I just stayed up all night for a few nights and I put together my own kind of demo applications.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if a picture's 1,000 words, then like a demo is like 100,000 words or something like that. Like, um, it's like, so you have something interactive, something that works, something that you can immediately see the value out of. I think to your point earlier about superpowers, I think a small superpower of mine,
Right.
and sometimes a major distraction, again, it's both pluses and minuses, is I'm able to put together something, using just basic JavaScript and HTML
Right.
and some API calls or whatever that really works. It's not production ready, but it's something that you can get a conversation around and it can really help move the company forward at the right moments.
I
Um,
know a bunch of founders who also write code, and it's always a dangerous line a little bit of how much time you're going to spend doing that. But I do think in these, I've seen it on multiple occasions, these key moments of like, there's something big here, and I just need to freaking show you. So I'm just going to
yes.
do it.
Yeah. So pull it on
And
later,
yeah,
see you tomorrow morning, and we're going to talk about it, and,
yeah,
and, and then the conversation's very different when they can, it's not a concept anymore. It's
right.
something you can, like, tangible. And so it's the same thing happened with the rest of the company. It did all hands, maybe it's the Monday after that exec offset. I remember the exact timeline, but it's something on thereabouts. And all hands, everybody came in expecting the normal all hands stuff. It's like, everybody strap in, you know, everything I'm about to tell you is under a super duper NDA. And here's what we're working on for the next 9 months. A mistake that I make, and I think other founders sometimes make, is you expect everybody to kind of go along. They're
Mm.
like, this is because you're like, this is obviously amazing. You're like, this technology, for example, is obviously amazing. I can't imagine. And actually, a lot of folks were pretty at first. I mean, first of all, they've been with the company for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever years. They've seen us do at that point kind of at least one, if not two, major
Right.
feeling like pivots. And like, here we go again. I think you have to think about your credibility with your team, right? And it took actually some time for the whole company to really be like, are we really doing the right thing? Like I could sense that, like people are
Yep.
like really kind of skeptical. And what changed basically everybody's mind is we were allowed to kind of expand the secrecy, veil of secrecy to a few clients. And we
Yeah.
brought them
Oh boy.
in and we did
Yep.
like kind of live like demos or them using the product in front of the whole company. Um, and like, anybody was able to kind of sign in and to watch real lawyers have their minds totally blown, as opposed to me just saying it's gonna be amazing, or Pablo, my co-founder, or Laura, my co-founder, saying it's amazing. Um, Watching these folks just have their minds absolutely blown is like, you know, I think it was a really major like moment for us in the company.